Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Cooking from Quarantine. Today we're going to be making a sort of clam chowder. I didn't actually have fresh or canned clams in the house, but I had everything else needed to make clam chowder, and I had a strange amount of crab meat in the house, and so we're improvising. And this improvisation is sanctioned by one of the world's foremost fish chefs. So a special shout out to Eska's chef and owner, Dave Pasternak, for giving me the okay to substitute my ingredients around, and a little guidance about where to put what. So today we're working with clam juice. I had this clam juice in the house. It's been sitting here forever. It stays good for a really long time. I probably have it since the last time I made either linguine with clam sauce or New England clam chowder. I only make New England clam chowder. I don't fucks with Manhattan clam chowder. So I had this clam juice in the house. We are supposed to use 2 cups of clam chowder. I don't think that this is going to be 2 cups, so we're going to substitute in water for the rest of it. We're just going to make sure we adjust our seasonings accordingly, but you can always add more water to the soup. We're going to use milk. I don't have whole milk in the house because tender Jewish tummies most of the time don't have real milk in the house, but I do have fat-free Lactaid. And though this is going to taste like nothing, we are using 1.5 sticks of butter in this recipe, so the fat will make up for itself. Half of this butter is going to be, a third of this butter is going to be used to saute our veggies and sweat them out. The rest of the butter is going to be used to make our roux, which is going to thicken our sauce, our soup. I have thyme. I wish I had fresh thyme. I don't, so we're using the dry stuff. A bay leaf, which no recipe seems to call for, but I like putting bay leaves in things, so throw in a bay leaf. I have 2 onions diced very small. I have 5 carrots, 4 stalks of celery, and something like between 12 and 16 little Yukon Gold potatoes that I have diced up, all roughly the same size so that they cook at the same temperature. And also, since this is a soup, we want 1 spoonful to have all our little bites on it. Salt and pepper always. And then I had 2 different kinds of crab meat in the house. The first is this it says it's fresh claw crab meat, which I got from Baldor Foods, which is super duper yummy. It's 1 pound of crab meat, or it was before I threw half of it into a salad with avocado, tomato, and really good olive oil. And then I had this bumblebee crab meat, which are the same people that make the tuna that I like. And I don't know if this was an accidental purchase or what, but crab meat is extremely high in protein and low in everything else, so it's a really good thing to be able to eat. It used to be the wisdom that shellfish made your cholesterol high, and then they found out, no, it makes your good cholesterol high, not your bad cholesterol high, so hooray for shellfish. And basically it's all going to go into the pot. The only thing, we are going to need flour, which I did take out, but I didn't put here. We're going to need flour to make our roux, which is a flour and butter, or flour and any kind of fat mixture that acts as a thickener for our soup. Some people use a slurry, which would be cornstarch and water. I think that would work just as well, but I find obviously butter is more flavorful than cornstarch and water. So that's what we're going to be using. And so let's hit the stove and get started. So to get started, we're going to put a medium flame under our soup pot. Mine is this fabulous oval-shaped Le Creuset Dutch oven. And we're going to take 4 tablespoons of butter, or half a stick, and throw it into the bottom. We're gonna let the butter melt. And so what we're going to do is first we're gonna add the onions, and we're going to sweat the onions for a long time, cooking them slowly on only our medium heat. And we're going to cook them for roughly 10 minutes, get them really translucent, not brown, just clear and soft. And then we're going to add the rest of our vegetable mix back in, which is the potatoes, celery, and carrots. There's no garlic in this dish, unfortunately, although I guess you could add if you were really interested, but I don't think that would go particularly well with the fish. Now, a few notes on these ingredients. Again, I'm improvising because of what I have in the house. If you have canned clams in the house, they work beautifully in this dish. Don't let anybody clam shame you about using canned versus fresh. It's totally fine. Look, if you could get fresh clams, awesome, but make sure that you know how to clean them correctly and cook them correctly so that you don't have little sandy, basically rubber bands overcooked into your soup, because that would be really gross. But canned clams work absolutely fine. If I had bacon or pancetta or something like that in the house, that's what I would be using to sweat my onions in, not the butter. And then I would be able to have those little crumbles of bacon or pancetta or whatever you got. But if you have turkey bacon in the house, throw it in. And you can cook down all of your veggies in that. It's a great addition to this soup. So we have our butter cooking down, and let's get all of the onions into the bath. Oh, what smells better than onions cooking in butter? Basically nothing, right? I had wanted to use chicken stock in this soup when I realized that I was going to have to improvise. And I have all of this chicken stock in the house that I really have to start cooking through. And I thought, I wonder, maybe that'll work, but fish is so delicate. I wasn't really sure if that was a good substitute, and I tried to do some reading, and it didn't really seem like anybody puts chicken stock in any kind of soup, whether it's like a seafood chowder, a bisque, what have you. It just didn't seem to be how things are done. But Chef Dave at Eska Restaurant, he owns a bunch of restaurants, and he's been a fish chef for 100 years. He is, we've become friendly because of many, many seriously drunk nights out with my friend Anya at Eska, who lives basically in the same building that Eska is in. And so it became our go-to spot. But Chef Dave is the fish whisperer, and so if you ever have a fish question, he's always happy to answer. And I was like, this is the kind of knowledge that I need about this. And I said, here's what I have in the house. What do you think? And he was like, do not put chicken stock in this. He was like, water is fine. He was like, you've got milk, you've got maybe a little bit close to enough clam juice. Don't use chicken stock. So I listened because, we're not professional chefs, we're home cooks, but if you know a professional chef and you can get a little input, beautiful, just ups your own cooking game. I'm going to lower the heat on this just a little bit because the onions seem to be getting a little hotter than I would like. And now we're just going to kind of continue stirring for the next, roughly 8 minutes or so while these really cook down, and then we'll add the rest of our veggies. So I'll see you in a few minutes. So our onions are now nice and translucent, and the bottom of our pot is getting just a little brown. I'll show you sort of what we're dealing with. So now we're going to add back in, or not back in, we're going to add in for the first time our veggie mix. Now we're adding this early on because all of these veggies do take a while to cook down. So this is, again, between 12 and 16 little Yukon Gold potatoes. I didn't even peel them. If you don't like potato skin, fine, peel them up. I didn't bother. 5 kind of smallish carrots and 4 stalks of celery. And you know, onion, celery, and carrot are the base for, I mean, almost all cooking. That's called your mirepoix. And then the potato, so not only is the potato just yummy, because potatoes are amazing, but the potatoes, the starch that's in them is going to add, again, a little more thickness and richness and creaminess to this soup. There's no heavy cream going into this soup. There's no, I mean, even the milk I'm using doesn't have real milk fat in it. So anything we can do to kind of up the creaminess level without upping the caloric level, since we're all kind of in quarantine, and like, I don't know about the rest of you, but like, I've become a prolific napper. So like, I mean, I guess I sort of always was, but I think the coronavirus is really making all of us test our limits, and I have to say that like, as far as napping goes, I'm probably like America's best hope for getting through this restfully. I'm gonna up my heat just a little bit. And so we're going to try to thicken everything and make it creamy without having to use actual cream and any more butter than is absolutely necessary. But again, like, this is a home cooking kind of dish. This is a, you know, originates in New England, where temperatures are cold and, you know, parking is a bitch. I guess that's only Boston. But you need some food that's going to keep you warm while you're digging out your driveway. So, you know, these are pretty warm flavors. So we're going to continue to cook this down. I haven't salted and peppered it yet. I'm going to salt and pepper it now, because salt draws out water from things. So it's going to help our veggies to cook down nicely, to add some salt. I mean, like, I measured that salt with my heart, not with a spoon, but that was like roughly a tablespoon. Nah, it wasn't a tablespoon. It was about a half a tablespoon of salt. Lost a carrot to the cause. Fresh cracked black pepper. Please stop buying powdered black pepper. It doesn't really take that much more energy to, like, go like this. And the results are so much better. There's a reason that there's this like old restaurant trope of the waiter coming over with the enormous black pepper dispenser. Like, I know it's become a joke, but it really is so much better. And fresh black pepper on basically anything improves it. Like, I don't know, fight me if you think that's wrong. So we're going to let this cook down for easily another 5 minutes or so, and we'll be back when we add our wet ingredients. So I'll see you soon. Okay, so all of our veggies are now really cooking down. I'll show you what we're working with. And now we're going to start adding the things that are making this a real chowder, which is our clam juice, and, well, we're not adding seafood just yet, but we're going to get there. So before we add our clam juice in, let's add some of our aromatics. Here is our, we don't have fresh thyme, but we do have dry thyme, and I'm going to use, let's get a little bit more than that, about 1.5 teaspoons of dry thyme. Make sure our veggies aren't sticking. I'm going to pop in a bay leaf. Most people don't pop in a bay leaf, but I'm a bay dream believer and a homecoming queen. It's not true. Okay, get our bay leaf getting in there. Now we're going to start with the actual soup stuff, which is exciting. So we have 1 small bottle of clam juice. This is 8 fluid ounces, which is equal to 1 cup. So this goes in. Then we're going to fill it back up with water. With blessings from Chef Dave. And we're going to start to let all of this just simmer together because we want to get our potatoes nice and tender before we add in any of our fish. So we don't add the fish into this dish until like the very last minute because fish is so sensitive to temperature. We're really just warming it, not cooking it, because soup gets so hot it kind of keeps cooking even when you shut the flame. So let's see what we've got going on in the pot. Looking really good. We're going to bring this all back up to a simmer, which will probably take another 10 minutes. All of this is done in sort of 10-minute increments. And once this is simmering, we're going to go to the back burner and start creating our roux, our soup thickener. So I'll see you in a few minutes. All right, so we have an additional pot now on our back burner. We're going to put a low heat under that. We don't want to brown our butter or our flour when we're making our roux. We just want to cook off the kind of raw flour flavor. So we're putting a whole stick of butter or half a cup of butter into that pot and letting it cook down. Meanwhile, our veggies are cooking beautifully, and the best way to tell how they're cooking down is to grab a fork, grab one of the larger pieces of potato that you have, and go into the side of it and see if it's fork tender, which it is starting to be. See, no brute force to get our fork into our potatoes. So everything's cooking really lovely. We're going to let our butter melt completely, and then we are going to add equal parts flour to our butter, and we are going to whisk, 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 and not leave it alone. Okay, turn up the flame just a little higher on our butter. I'll show you what we've got going on in our pan. See, everything just simmering, not a furious boil. Then in our other pot, we're doing pretty well, pretty well. Now, most of this recipe is taken from Ina Garden's, or I guess not taken from, but sort of inspired by Ina Garden's East Hampton chowder. I love all of Ina's recipes. I find that even the more challenging ones that have quite a few steps in them are still pretty easy to make. Her ingredients are very easy to substitute out. So even if you're not like living her fabulous barefoot Contessa lifestyle, you can still cook as if you do live a fabulous lifestyle. And that's all any of us really want, right? Okay, let's start measuring out our flour. This is just like normal, everyday, all-purpose, bleached flour. We want to get our whisk ready. Nobody beats the whisk. I'm going to dump in that flour and immediately start whisking together, and we'll be doing this for probably 2 or 3 minutes. I'll show you what it starts to look like. This is a weird little maneuver because I have to continuously whisk it. And again, we're just trying to get the raw flour flavor cooked out of that. Develop the gluten that's in the flour so that it thickens our soup beautifully. There we go. Now the pot's facing the right way. Now we can whisk. And what we're going to do is add some of the soup mix, some of the liquid that's in the soup, into our roux. Whisk it together a little longer, and then add all of it back into the pot. That's how you prevent it from getting lumps in your soup. No lovely lady lumps in our soup, just near our soup. That's how we prefer it. And again, you're not looking to get this browned. You're just looking to make sure there's not a trace of raw flour in here anywhere. So let's grab like roughly, well, we're not going to get a cup, but try not to get veggies. Wonder if we should tilt this, if that would be easier, probably. Okay, that seems to be like a quarter cup. We'll add it in phases. Okay, whisk all of that together to make sure we have no lumps, no bumps, no fine lines or wrinkles. I'm going to actually shut the flame off of that. And we're going to add it using our rubber scraper so we don't miss out on any pieces of it. We're going to add that directly to our pot. See, so now what we have is almost looks like a potatoey stew. Going to keep mixing. Getting everything kind of warm and thickened. Show you how our pot is looking. And we still haven't added in our milk yet. We want to get all of this cooked so that we can lower the heat, because we want to bring our milk and our seafood, which sounds like a gross combination, but is actually lovely. We want to bring both of them up to temperature slowly so that neither of them scorch, because there is really no two flavors worse than burnt milk or burnt fish, like ew. Okay, so this is now one big like glue ball basically. So let's get our milk going. We're going to lower our flame. Our flame is actually already pretty low, and we're going to cool off the pot as soon as we pour this in. So I guess we're actually doing okay. We're going to want to do 2 cups of milk. This is a half cup. Just barely made it to another half cup. Let's open up the next one. Stir this up so that nothing sticks. See, I find that all of Ina Garten's recipes really work the way they say they're going to. They're pretty easy. She's clear in her instructions. So this isn't like exactly her recipe. I kind of riffed on it, which, you know, once you know how to cook, you're able to kind of, it's like music in that way. You're able to kind of take from the best and take all the rules and then sort of throw the rules out the window and make it your own. Okay, this is starting to look really creamy and delicious. Again, we've added no cream and in fact no milk fat to this, but nonetheless, well, I say no milk fat, but I suppose butter does in fact count. Now we're going to add in our crab. If you are using clams because you're doing things like the right way, then you would be using about 3 pounds of, sorry, not 3 pounds, 3 cups of fresh clams, but we don't have that luxury, so I'm just using all of the crab meat I have in my house. This is claw crab meat by Blue Star. I had it in a salad. It was rockin'. And it smells really fresh too. And it's in this fabulous little aluminum pouch like tuna comes in. So we're going to start getting that all nice and warm. And I had those two canned clams, or crab rather, but I'm not even sure I'm going to need them because of how full this soup is looking. Well, let's see. Does every scoop have some clam in it? That's a good way to tell. It's also looking a little gluey. I might add a little bit more water to this just so that it's more runny than not. Let's do a taste test and just see how our flavors are. Really delicious, really like buttery, stick to your ribs clam chowder. I am going to add a little bit more water, and I think we will add at least one of the cans of crab meat. Let's see, one of them is pink crab meat, one of them is fancy white crab meat. I don't understand the difference. There doesn't seem to be a nutritional difference, so let's go with fancy. I'm in kind of a fancy mood today. Sorry, can opener. Again, don't dish canned fish. Not dish, dis. It rhymed, but it wasn't supposed to rhyme. Okay. And I imagine this is going to come in some kind of liquid as well, so that will help liquefy our soup a bit more. Also, that's why I'm adding this first and not the, there we go. Oh, what does this look like? Okay, see, it has a little cover on it. That's good to know. Oh, it has two covers on it. How strange. Listen, Bumblebee, you got to give us a heads up if you're going to play games with our fish. Quit playing games with our fish. Okay, that adds like a little odd something to the dish. Definitely going to want to taste that after adding it because it's a crazy kind of look. Again, we're cooking this on a low heat. We do not want this to scorch or boil, and we do want to be stirring continuously so that nothing sticks to the bottom. Let's get like a half a cup more liquid in here. And then we'll taste. See how we're doing. Yeah, that's a nicer consistency. Or it will be once it cooks off a little bit. Okay, show you what's doing in the bathtub. Beautiful clam chowder. At this point, let's take out our bay leaf because while we do want it to flavor the soup, we don't want to eat it because bay leaves are basically terrible. Okay, now that we've added the water and more crab, let's do another taste test to make sure our flavors are where we thought they would be. Really, really good. You can really taste each individual veggie. The carrots are super sweet, and actually crab is so sweet that it's a beautifully sweet soup. I love making soups. The herbs are so nice in it. Yep, I'm going to shut off the heat. We'll add a little black pepper. And I'll show you what it looks like plated. So, here we are. We have our beautiful, not spill it all over my counter, beautiful crab chowder, with many thanks to Ina Garden and Dave Pasternak for their assistance and inspiration in cooking. Beautifully soft potatoes, carrots, celery, all the little flavors working together, nice and hot. If you've got oyster crackers in the house, whip them out. Beautiful, protein rich, kind of fatty, kind of carby, amazingly comforting crab chowder. Thanks again. Bye.